I think we can all agree that this is becoming a very fun part of the market cycle, and we're still waiting to see when we're going to get these big extensions and blowouts in terms of altcoins. And what I found is something I really am excited to show you guys. This shows that we have not reached peak funness, we'll call it peak funness yet on this rally that we're on currently. I want to show you guys a few other things going on here as well, but this is going to be very eye-opening for people. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So we've done a couple very exciting things here. This is stuff that you can in fact get excited about. We have set a new all-time high in terms of the total market cap of crypto, actually running all the way to 4.07 trillion. This is bringing a lot of excitement and optics with it that we have not seen in the market in a very long period of time. This has also caused the total three, so all assets outside of BTC and Ethereum, to actually reach the highest level we have seen since all the way in January 2025. This is also coming with the lowest levels in terms of BTC dominance since that time, the lowest levels in USDT dominance since that time. So we are, for all intents and purposes, in the midst of a massive swing in the crypto market. And now it's a question of, do we have enough confidence to continue seeing these extensions? And that's what I really want to talk about with you guys. Did want to show you here as well as the total three versus the US 500 is a chart we've been watching very closely. We are creating this extension, which is very exciting. And we do want to get to a new high here. Again, highs that we have not seen since the early part of this year, but really, we're getting a big breath of life into the crypto market. All coin search traffic is hitting new all-time highs week after week. And guys, there is a point where this is really going to open up big capital inflows into the crypto market in a very big way. It hasn't even really started yet. Think about that, right? What we're seeing right now is a lot of the capital that's in the market currently just reflowing back into assets from stablecoins. It's one of the biggest things we've been waiting for. And that's what made me want to show you guys this. When we're looking actually at USDT, there have been these ebbs and flows in terms of the exchange reserves since inception, right? And that will always be the case. People pushing money into exchanges to try to accumulate assets, people pulling USDT out of exchanges after they've sold their assets and putting stuff back into cold storage. And what we've been seeing is a very hard transition since basically mid to late June. And that is that USDT has been starting to flow back into exchanges. We've actually seen this exchange reserve for USDT climb from about 37.7 billion USDT to now 39.67 billion, or 76 billion, sorry. And really what we have not done is seen a significant extension beyond 40 billion in terms of USDT exchange reserves since all the way back here in December. And that got me looking at this a very different way. And I was kind of doing the math on this. And what we are seeing right now is a ratio that does not show peak excitement, which is a very good sign. So when we look back here at March of 2024, so this is obviously early market cycle. We were watching this from obviously October of 2023 through the early part of March of 2024. And what we got to at that point was a ratio of 0.17. So 17%, we'll call it 18% of USDT in the market was actually on exchanges at that point. And that was during some fun, exciting times. And what you were watching at that point, and we can track this obviously with USDT flow to exchanges, was people just kind of tiptoeing back in the market. It was very slow. There wasn't really any significant bursts. Even as we got into October, right? We went from about 13 billion USDT on exchanges to, even by the end of the year, 13.6 billion. It wasn't a very big push. Even as we got into the early part of 2024, we obviously saw a little bit of a surge around January, which was exciting because we started off the year so hot. And then we got that big push right at the end of February into the early part of March. But for the most part, it was people just kind of pumping the brakes, not really buying the pump, right? And that's very indicative of the start of the bull market cycle. People tend to be a lot more cautious. Then what we saw was all the way in the later part of the year where we saw this, huge surge in terms of USDT on exchanges. We saw really high excitement. We'll call it peak excitement at that time. And what you saw was actually about 30% of USDT supply on exchanges at that point, at a peak of, not even a peak, but at a height at that point of the market cycle of 41.76 billion USDT on exchanges. And then we started to see some profit taking, some removals, et cetera, like we normally see, right? Now, we're obviously in the midst of a very exciting move, and right now, even altcoins today are starting off on a very great note. Obviously, ADA, for example, up at about 88.50. We can see SHIB Inu at about 13.9 or so. XRP at about $3.30, and we're seeing a lot of green yet again. But what I find very interesting about this is right now we are seeing this USDT on exchange ratio only at about 24%. This is not peak excitement. What we are still seeing is some hesitance in the market. And that's not really surprising, right? People have been burned by a lot of these pumps time and time again. Hell, even if you look at the pump that we experienced just back here in the later part of July, it turned into a pretty big retracement. So you're not seeing that big wave of confidence yet. Some of it's creeping in. Again, right now, if we're looking at exchange supply, it's higher than it was in late July, which is a great sign, right? Well, I guess it's about the same, right? So you're just still watching some hesitance, and that's why we're seeing a lot of the bears still try to push the market down. That's why we're seeing still a huge presence of short interest. But this can very quickly change. Remember how fast things change from the early part of November to December. All right. And I would not be surprised by us seeing a ratio of close to 30%, maybe even beyond that, right? Because we are finally getting these triggers that we're seeing across the crypto market. Ethereum pushing close to and probably going to set a new all-time high within a day or two if this continues, right? BTC on the verge and push towards a new all-time high yet again. These are the things that can carry enough weight and confidence in the market where you can see altcoins just have their traditional blowouts, where we can have this traditional alt season like we're used to seeing, up-only season, right? So I thought this was very interesting, and maybe some people find this boring, but that's what we're contending with right now. We're not at peak excitement. People are still tiptoeing, but we're seeing all the right signs for us to leave the tiptoeing in the dust. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.